You know, it's almost like your birthday with a package from China, so let's go. Hey, it's awesome that you're tuning in. So in today's video we are going to take a close look at the Q900, also known as the PS7000. Basically this is a 7 inches of fun device, absolutely huge beast, but how is it nowadays? Is it still worth picking up? The Q900 comes with 32 gigabytes built-in storage, or not really built-in, it's actually just an SD card. But this is device something you should pick up nowadays, simply because there are so many different solutions. So first of all, when it comes to the form factor, 7 inches, so it's very cool. But how is the overall quality of the display? That is something we're going to find out later on. The controls are similar to previous models we've reviewed, but it comes with two nice analog Nintendo Switch clone joysticks. Then we're going to get ourselves the D-pad over here, A, B, H, Y, and the button touch is very nice. The only downside I already noticed, this thing is very thin, so it's not going to be the most comfortable handheld. Even this thing does have a little bit of a form factor to it. It's a little bit of a bummer in my opinion. At the back we're not going to get any extra buttons whatsoever. Here just indicate that I need a 5V 1 amp of a 5V charger, just a normal charger. HDMI out, on off switch over here. We're going to get ourselves the Type-C connection and a headphone jack out, and we're going to get 4 buttons at the top. And I can tell you where you're going to be holding this device, it's not going to be very comfortable. So it's not the best device to play with. But let's talk about the display, because this is a little bit of a bummer. So when you're looking at the display that comes inside the machine, yeah, this is absolutely not an IPS panel that we have seen with different models. It's absolutely quite rubbish, and I wish they upgraded this at least with an IPS display. The interface of the device itself is a little bit outdated in my opinion. First of all, what you're going to get is that we're going to get these thumbnails. We can switch between games very quickly, but we cannot make them our favorite, saying they want to put a certain game on top. And that's one of those features that they're still missing out nowadays. Over here at the bottom row, we're going to get ourselves the game option. Here we can listen to music if you want to. And there are some test SD MP3 files on here. Then we can listen to some music. No idea what it is for kind of music, but nevertheless, here we're going to get the pictures. Let's see if there are any pretty pictures on here. They added some samples, nothing interesting. And here we can even watch a video. And I'm to wonder, like, what can we actually do with this? Are there any interesting things? Oh yeah, stuff like that. So if you just want to watch a video, that is one of the things. This is more like a browser file or a function. Here we can look into the storage capacity, and we can also mess with the SD card. So that's actually what we can do when it comes to this. Settings, language, we're having different languages. It has been set to English, but there are even some European languages. Theme style, we can change that out if you want to. Off-screen settings, at the beginning it was set to 5 seconds, but it's more like a power saving mode. Backlight can also be changed. There are only 4 settings. And then we're going to get ourselves the key tune. But I'm mostly like muting this. Restore default settings and system information. This is still version number 1. I do wonder if there are some updated versions out there. So that's it. That's what you're going to get. If you're going to choose the game controller, here you can make yourself different folders, add your games. There is even a 4-player folder somehow, but you can add games to this fairly easy. And that's one of the ways you can play. It also showcases the tiny screen or picture if you added one of them to the system itself. Another thing I wanted to check out is the audio quality. And I can tell you, it sounds pretty damn good. The volume comes mostly from the back because there are the speakers, but I can tell you when cranking up, it goes really loud. Nevertheless, everything seems to be working just fine. If you want to get into the cheat mode, sometimes you can even get here by getting into the debug settings over here. It's a little bit messy how you need to do it. The configuration isn't great in my opinion, but it's kind of cool to be honest to mess around with this. Alright, here we go. And there we go, infinite time, oh yeah. So nevertheless, when you're going to actually play this, I can tell you it's very cool and it runs pretty good. I need to get used to the D-pad, because this is not the best D-pad for a game like this. Not every single direction can be fired very easily. Okay, another thing is if you're going to get back to the main menu, you can press select to start. You can make a quick load, quick save, mess with the controls, but there is no aspect ratio. I'm hoping in the future they can add stuff like this and make the menu a little bit more fancy also when it comes to the quick load, quick save. Yeah, that's kind of annoying, by the way. Then you need to close it every single time. It's cool they have the debug mode, so that's pretty damn cool. But okay, so let's get into some other stuff and see what it actually runs. Okay, next up I wanted to see how the D-pad actually responds when it comes to the fighting games, because that's one of the things I really love to play. But for fighting games, you need to get also used to it, but it is not bad at all. So that's pretty damn awesome, that the D-pad is functional for fighting games. So one of the biggest bummers of this device is that when the audio goes quite loud, you're only having one speaker that seems to be working, or there was at least one of them in there. So at this point I'm trying to record and watch on the screen, but the viewing angle is so bad of this that it is quite difficult to actually play the game. But the overall emulation performance of Tekken is also great. So let's make a quick save. I'm just really curious if this is going to be working. Alright, let's load it. Oh yeah, that seems to be working just fine, also for PlayStation. So, the weird thing is with Tekken, it sounded that it was like mono audio. And at first I was thinking, hey, this is something wrong with the speakers, but they're actually good, pretty damn good stereo speakers. So that was more like an overall emulation performance that we had something with the hardware failure. Okay. One of my favorite games to play. So what's kind of cool to see, so I just booted it up for the first time. Or first time at least, after a very long time. And it seems to be that it also will save the game, even that you're not going to be playing it for some time. So that's pretty damn cool, so you don't need to make a quick load, quick save. So in particular for the Mega Drive part, seems to be using the in-game feature or save feature. But also when it comes to the overall emulation performance, this works quite well. I'm quite surprised to see that it actually has some very nice overall performance. No audio delay. The nice ring sound stereo that was missing with a lot of these emulators. Where I normally play always the D-pad, the positioning of the D-pad here at the left bottom corner is not my favorite position, because you need to cramp up your hands in a very strange, unnatural position. And when I'm going to play, I'm always grabbing the analog stick. So, but the overall performance also very nice. So if you want to play some old school 16-bit games. And when it comes to recording, it does it really nice. It does it justice when it comes to this. I'm getting into the old school retro vibe. I can't stop playing. Oh yeah. But next up, let's take a close look at some Super Famicom. But also this seems to be working fine. The audio effects are here, no weird audio delays whatsoever. Oh man, this is such a cool funny game. I've played it so much on the NES. Wasn't this called Wonder Boy or something? When it comes to the arcade version. Oh, messed it up. Alright, next up when it comes to some NES part, also this works fine. I wish they had added the aspect ratio up, because now it looks pretty damn horrible. But if you don't really mind stuff like this, the emulation overall performance is pretty good. It sounds a little bit faster than I'm used to, I think because they're having different kind of ROM sets. Because I grew up here with the PAL games and they were sounding way slower than these games. But one of the awesome features this thing comes with is that you can plug it into your HDMI television. And I can tell you the image itself looks very nice when it comes to the overall, let's say, quality that comes out of the device itself. And the reason why I particularly say it like this, because some of these, I can tell you, I've seen having HDMI functionalities but really horrible signal output. But let's try a couple of games. But when you're looking at this particular product, it's pretty damn cool. They can actually play on television, and if you're having a second controller, you can just use it like a game console. But another weird thing I've noticed, when you're going to plug it out and plug it back in, it automatically resets to the main menu sometimes. Here you can see that it has been set to the main menu. So that is something they should fix, because some of the devices don't have this issue. Now you need to boot up your game again. Or if you just want to use this thing like a media player, that is also possible. I think it's a very cool feature. But in the end, you don't really need a cheap game stick. This handheld can do exactly the same things that the cheap game stick, only now you can also bring it with you. The downside to this device is that it actually comes with an hefty price tag even nowadays. So that's something you need to take into consideration. And for that money, maybe you do have way better solutions when it comes to overall emulation, let's say performance. Okie dokie. So let's open it up. Let's see what are we going to get in the inside. So I'm having a second doubt if this thing even has like 2 speakers. And the reason why is because it sounds kind of weird, you know, like it sounds like all the audio comes from one freaking side. So I'm curious if this thing has 2 speakers. I would not be surprised if it isn't, but because it's always the same issue with these things. Get the screws out. Alright, so let's open it up very gentle, because these things are like mostly clicked together. The 4 screws you're seeing are just actually like more like a support to keep everything in place, because these things are freaking plastic fantastic. Oh, I can see 2 wires, that's interesting. Alright, so let's open it up, and guess what? There are actually 2 speakers inside. But the reason I find it surprisingly, because most of these, let's say, devices don't have 2 speakers, even they're like having the mold for it. But it sounds kind of weird. Like, I was not very happy with the audio quality itself. But the construction, holy crap, this thing looks kind of weird. And the reasons why. Alright, so when I find this thing really strange, so with the previous model I've reviewed, and I may not like the QS900, but like the cheap device that have like one gigantic PCB inside, but the construction itself is quite interesting. So first of all, we're going to get a very huge lithium battery in here, in total of 4000 milliamps. And I think that will give you like quite a long time to play. Exactly, it's very hard to say in my opinion, but I think it will be like between 4 and maybe 6 hours. Don't pay me on it, by the way. Here at the side, we're going to get 2 PCBs are like specially made for the button configuration. They're all being connected with very nice ribbon cables. They use a lot of electric tape, if I'm saying it correctly, to put everything in position, because here we're going to see like another ribbon cable goes over there. And these things are having the GB2 chipset. But when you're looking at this particular device, it comes with a lot of pros, but also a lot of cons. And that is what I think the biggest problem nowadays. Is it really worth the money? I think if you can find it really cheap, I think it's going to be a very cool piece of equipment they can enjoy for some time. But take consideration is that when you're looking at this particular product, the cons, for example, aspect ratio isn't there, no IPS panel, you know, things that we do find in different brands like Powkitty and Embernick. Nevertheless, let me know in the comments what do you think of this. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the little bell, and it will be great to see you in the next video.